There's big news to go over today. Cincinnati Bengals have made a sneaky good signing, and in what has been a crazy past couple weeks for this team, they have made multiple moves. But not only that, we have a huge update surrounding Joe Burrow that has fans very fired up. A ton to go over on this episode, folks. But before we get into it all, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the daily Bengals content. Isaac, a ton to go over today. The Bengals are, of course, practicing, but I want to go over first a move that they have made that is actually pretty interesting here as we approach a crucial stretch of games. And of course, you're going to be playing the Bengals that is playing the Steelers in what now at this point, with the way Joe Burrow is looking, every game matters a ton until his return. But let's start with the moves that have went down here. And the Bengals have officially elevated Brian Asamoah, signed Antoine Powell to the practice squad, and have made some other moves. Now, we do have some big updates that dropped today at practice. This move happened a day or so ago. However, Brian Asamoah is someone who is quite the interesting name. You can see here they signed him off of the practice squad to the active roster, and he did sign to the practice squad back on October 30th, was elevated in week 9. And they also signed someone we'll dive into in a minute here. But Isaac, I want to kind of touch on Brian Asamoah because we know the defense for the Bengals has been absolutely crushed. It has been destroyed. It's been really bad. And they are adding some depth at the linebacker position. And with Brian Asamoah, this is a guy who was a third-round pick in 2022, has played 57 games at the NFL, 30 total tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and they also signed a former sixth-round pick. Brian Asamoah, you can see here, he's played a lot at the NFL level, hasn't been a starter, but has been a decent special teams guy. Do you have any thoughts on this? And of course, it's not necessarily going to be a groundbreaking move, but the big thing here is getting depth, adding some more players that have potential upside, and once again, they're adding someone who is young and at 25 years old. I mean, you can't really go wrong with how bad this defense has been, and there's been some other injuries as well, which make things almost a little bit worse there on the defensive line.
Totally agree. He is someone that brings a little more stability. Now, they're not going to get any elite players at this
Yeah.
point. That's just not going to happen. So you take what you can get. Like you brought out, the defense has just been rock bottom. You got to try something, and you commend going young. That's what the Bengals have done, going with Knight, with Barrett Carter, but they haven't panned out. They're going through their rookie mistakes of not tackling. They're leading the league in missed tackles. You got to get stability in there some way. If it's just even elevating a guy like him off of the practice squad, I'm all for it. I'm like, let's get some more stability because that's what they've been lacking, at least at the linebacker position.
Yeah, there's been a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of things going around with multiple teams, not just the Bengals, of course, but having somebody now in Brian Asamoah who has played with them this year, albeit one game, few practice squad, or not practice squad, a few special teams reps there is interesting. Now, the other guy, Antoine Powell-Ryland, he was I believe he was a sixth round pick out of Philadelphia,
Yeah.
spent 5 games in the Eagles practice squad. Again, like these are guys that in the NFL, players move around a lot, but these are a couple of, at one point, fairly highly touted players here, and not superstars, not super highly touted prospects, someone who could make an interesting difference at some point, because you look at the defense here, and we can touch on this before we dive into Joe Burrow and dive into a couple other updates. They are decimated here. Shamar Stewart's going to miss some time. A report just came out. I'll let you dive into that in a minute. Hendrickson, it's also looking like he's going to miss the game on Sunday, which is devastating because at this point, every divisional game, whether that be the game against the Steelers upcoming, whether that be the game against the Ravens, you need all hands on deck here. And of course, you have Trey Hendrickson. You mentioned it. Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter. The only bright side really has been guys like DJ Turner, and it's been rough. What is your faith level, especially, I'll let you kind of break it down, the Shamar Stewart injury that just came out as well, that has a big change in things. It's not looking great here heading into the game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's just like you said, like they are decimated. And Shamar Stewart, the report came through from Zach Taylor. He announced that Stewart is week to week due to a knee injury he had against the Bears. So that's not good considering they are coming off of the bye. Normally, if it's a minor injury, you're going to be rested up, you're going to be ready to go. Coming out already and saying he is out, this tells me it's a more serious injury. You've already got Hendrickson dealing with that hip injury, which was my concern at the time, that a hip injury could linger throughout the whole season. They're just scrapping by already. I mean, we've talked about how they've been struggling to produce, but even the backups are struggling to produce. So they got their work cut out for them. I mean, this is going to be a huge game with Pittsburgh. They've got a 2-0 record against the division. If you somehow pull off that victory, I mean, on paper, they look like they should lose this game, but I've seen crazy things happen. Let's just go with scenarios. They win this game, they're 3-0 in the division. That's just crazy to think about. Like, that's how big this game really is. Any division game is, but it's just not looking good on defense. That's going to be the big question mark going into Sunday's game for sure.
Yeah, and obviously devastating news, and hopefully everyone can get better. And ultimately, that's why these moves are being made for the practice squad and why it matters into here. But let's switch into some positive vibes here. So, Zach Taylor said in his press conference today that Joe Burrow looked really sharp during Monday's practice, meaning he practiced today. He huddled up with the 3 other Bengals quarterbacks Wednesday on a breezy day at practice. And Isaac, of course, reports initially came out that he might be trying to return for that game, I believe the 27th, Thanksgiving, against the Ravens, or around Thanksgiving. Then reports started to come out, it might be later on in week 17, things like that. Regardless, I think a lot of it will depend on how things go specifically with the Bengals schedule. And you can see here, Albert Breer on Joe Burrow's potential return. Super competitive. We're way ahead of where we thought we'd be. So is there a chance we push the envelope? Maybe, but the Bengals will be careful. And all that to say, of course, we know how good the offense has been. These games right here, you look at them now, week 11, 12, coming off of a bye week. If you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're instantly, like the chances Burrow, at least they push the envelope, I should say, immediately go down. If you win against Pittsburgh and you swing together a couple wins here, they could push Joe Burrow. And for Zach Taylor to say that he looked excellent, everything that is being said right now is calculated because they know how things are going to be taken. Really encouraging news. And whether or not Burrow returns this year, whether it's for one game before the season ends, this is fantastic that he's recovered better. And he's also came out and said this has been not one of the easier injuries to recover from, but easier than some of his injuries he's experienced in the past. Fantastic news there. And the schedule ahead is going to be very crucial. This game Sunday is the biggest game in a very long time, not just, of course, for this season, but to see if Burrow pushes the envelope, like Albert Breer said.
Yeah, this is big news as much as we can sit here and say the offense has not really missed a beat with Joe Flacco coming in. They certainly missed it with Browning, but you just do the what ifs of, what if they did win even one of those games against the Jets or the Bears or both? What position they'd be in? It's one of those frustrating years once again, but this is positive news because this is the long term. Like you said, Joe Burrow, the long term, he needs to come back. He needs to come back 100%. So even if he comes back early, like you mentioned, that's a good sign that he is going to be ready to go, whether it is just a game or he is aiming for that Thanksgiving game. I believe it's against the Ravens. Primetime game, that's what he's competitive. Like you said there, he's going to want to play. It's going to come down to, again, that Pittsburgh game. I agree 100%. They're going to shift focus. He is the franchise quarterback. He is the future. So they're not going to risk it if they come out and just stumble like they have been here recently. That's showing how big this game is. It's a domino effect, honestly. If they win against Pittsburgh, you could see more Joe Burrow. You could see it be a little more of a tighter race in that division. And if they lose, well, then they're just kind of going to pack it up and go home. It feels like that's what the smart thing, what they really should do anyway.
Yeah, let us know down below your thoughts there. It's going to be crazy. And hopefully the Bengals offense can continue to shine and the defense gets some help. And by help, I mean play better because it has been really, really bad. Let us know down below what your thoughts are on all this. Tons of news coming out. We'll keep you up to date every step of the way as we approach Sunday. See you guys later.